Today is Sunday, July 13th, 2025, and it is Yom Rishon, the first day of the week, 17 Tammuz of 5785, and the parsha is Pinchas. And this is the PL-89 calendar, also known as the Mercury calendar, the Mercury Gematriatic thought calendar, and the PL-89 Mercury multidimensional quantum entanglement, quantum thought calendar. And I think there are a few more names to it, but that's basically it. It's basically the Mercury thought gematria calendar and the PL-89 thought calendar. And this was started in the year 2012, which was the Hebrew year 5772. And it combines a few different calendars into one calendar. It's a lunar solar calendar. It combines the Hebrew, the Jewish, or the Hebrew calendar that we use today. That makes it today the 17th of Tammuz. And it also combines the Gregorian calendar, which is responsible for today being July 13th. And it also combines the Julian calendar, which is 13 days behind the Gregorian calendar. And recently I've added the Julian calendar formula to the Hebrew calendar. What I mean is that the Julian calendar typically is only in relation to the sun, meaning the Gregorian calendar. So today is July 13th. So the Julian day would be June 30th, 13 days behind. 13 days behind. It's a plus 13, so it's maybe 14 days altogether, but it's plus 13. So let's say today on this calendar. So July 14th would be the first. When you get to the 14th of the month, that's really. And the Julian way of seeing things, it's the Julian calendar, you've actually gotten into July. So really, on the Julian calendar, we haven't even gotten into July yet. Just tomorrow will be the 1st of July. That's just a way of seeing things. And through this way of seeing things, many things hopefully can be answered and managed. Today, the number of the Gregorian calendar, which July 13th is box number 20. Box 20, and we are in a +4 reality, which means that July 13th, 13 plus 4 is 17, so the Hebrew date is 17. That's known as a plus or minus. If I'm speaking from the Hebrew point of view, I say it's a -4. So +4, here we are at 20. The connection to 20 is that I know someone whose birthday is the 13th, and the Hebrew birthday is also the 20th. So that's interesting that it comes out this day. But also, so that the point of this calendar is to find a connection every day to when you look at a box and see something, a number comes out. And so you're thinking, you might be asking, if I'm making a connection to myself, that's just not going to help anybody. It's just going to be for me. But that's not the point of it. The point of it is that if I see 20 on this calendar, ideally it should be objective for everybody. It happens to be, in my case, I know someone whose birthday is on the 13th, and it happens to be the 20th, Hebrew and Gregorian. So that's perfect. It perfectly matches today. But excuse me, please, one moment. Okay, I'm back. So this calendar, like I was saying before, is a lunisolar calendar. It should be objective for everyone, and it's a thought calendar, gematriatic thought calendar, which means that the numbers that are in the boxes are based on verses in the Torah, in the Bible. And they should have meaning hopefully for everyone, that it gains consensus. And so it's combining a few different things, calendars that certain groups of people use and certain groups of people don't use, but I put them together. And so that's where we are with this. Now, the Julian calendar isn't used generally by people today, but it was used before the calendar that we have now. And that is also taken into consideration. And also the Daf Yomi, the learning program, the Daf Yomi, which was started in 1923. The year that Greece was the last country that adopted the Gregorian calendar, the calendar that says that today is July 13th, Greece was the last country to adopt it. And that was the year that the Daf Yomi started. And I made a connection between those two things happening. And it interested me, and I don't know who would have information on that. But I would like to find out more about the connection between Daf Yomi starting that year, 1923, or the Hebrew year, 5684, and the fact that Greece accepted the Gregorian calendar only after many, many years. I think they still use the Julian calendar for a long time basically that's what they used. And I don't even know if they wanted to accept it. They somehow were in some way forced to accept it. And I don't know what forced them to accept the calendar that we have today. And so I try to find connections between both the Gregorian and the Hebrew, which are represented by the two concepts, the sun and the moon. Not just physically the sun, the solar calendar and the lunar calendar, but the ideas that they represent. The Jewish people and the non-Jewish people, the nations, and the sun and the moon, and the end of the age and the Messianic era. And so, as I said before, today, in this dispensation, I've explained dispensations in this calendar before, but I won't explain them now because it's for time. But in this dispensation, box number 20 is the 13th. Whether it's July 13th, or if it's Tammuz 13, or if it's Teves 13, or Teves 20, or Tishrei 20, or Tishrei, or October, or I'm saying 20, I meant 13, 13th. It's always going to be on the 20. So, today, on the Hebrew calendar, 17th of Tammuz is going to be box 14th. And I had mentioned about the Daf Yomi. The connection is that, one of the rules in the calendar is that every box, it's called a PL-89 calendar. One of the reasons why it's called PL-89 is because of the words purple and lavender. If you see the two colors of the boxes, not the rectangles on top, but the boxes that you see are 80. And the reason why it's Mercury is that Mercury has an orbital period around the sun of 87 point something, 9691 something days around the sun. So that's about a quarter of a year of our days, of our time, our year. It's PL-89. 89 represents almost 90 days, or about 90 days, which is about 3 months, which is just about the revolution of Mercury. But that's talking from the perspective of Mercury, the planet. But it also has a connection to Mercury, the chemical element, Mercury. Because in this calendar, it just so happens to match that the revolution of an orbit of Mercury on the Sun is almost the same number as the chemical element, the atomic number of Mercury. The atomic number of the chemical element Mercury is 80. Now, 80 is not 87 or 88, but it's close enough when you consider the fact that the amount of boxes that you see here are exactly 80 boxes. Because it's 8 times 10. 8 columns 10 rows. So it's interesting that the planet Mercury, which revolves 87 point something days, which is almost 90 days, you round it off to 90. And then you have the chemical element Mercury, which its atomic number is 80. And that's another reason why it's called a PL-89. Why? Because it's 80 boxes that you see, and then 10 boxes that you don't see. There's an invisible 10 boxes under here that are called T, and then letter D, and then 1. 10 day, it stands for 10 day, it's really TDT. It's like 10 day twilight. That refers to the last 10 days of every 90-day period. So it's not only 89 because 89 is almost 90, which points to Mercury, but it also is 89 because 80 boxes and then the extra 10, which makes 90. So it's like 89, like 89. Same, you can see the 8-9 pattern there. So, so in the PL-89, the reason why it's called PL, one of the many reasons, is that the two boxes are known as purple and lavender. This might be violet, but it's still closer to lavender. That's how I sort of conceived of that color. But this is purple and this is lavender. Okay? And so one of the rules in the PL-89 is that, like in Excel, when you can make a box, you can merge the cells, you can merge them. So these can merge into one. And that ties into when you're calculating what happened during the day and what happened yesterday and what happened yesterday in relation to today. It bridges the gap of memory. Sometimes connections aren't made because there's no connection between today and yesterday, or today and 2 days ago, or today and 13 days ago. That's what this calendar seeks to do. It seeks to create a memory connection through digital memory. When I say digital memory, I just mean remembering things based on numbers, and using the numbers as the memory, the medium of the memory. And the memory, it's not like you're trying to remember the thing. The number is connected to the thing, whatever the thing, the event or whatever happened. Okay, so yesterday something happened where someone mentioned, we were talking about a certain topic, and I said, I mentioned the concept of teku. Teku is, in the Talmud Bavli, is an unanswered or unresolved question. And the tradition is that we need to wait until Messiah comes and to have this teku answered. And Elijah the prophet, it stands for Elijah answering the questions. And I don't know why Messiah himself doesn't answer the questions according to this tradition, but I have my suspicions about that, but my speculations about that. But anyway, the tradition is that Elijah will answer the question. So yesterday I asked someone, since we're studying Daf Yomi, we're studying tractate Avodah Zarah, and something just came to me right now about the Julian calendar, but I'll finish my thought first. I asked him how many tekus are in this tractate. And so I didn't know. He didn't know either. And it's not something that people really think about. No one thinks to count the amount of tekus in the tractate or in all of Talmud. Although there is one rabbi who did, and whose book I study on a regular basis. But I didn't know myself. I didn't know, so I said we certainly passed one teku in this tractate. We passed one, and so I remembered that I recorded that one. That was on. It was on page 14. That's the connection to today. The last teku that I remember connecting was on page 14, and I think that might be the only teku so far. In Tractate Avodah Zarah, we only had one so far, as I can remember it. I'm not sure, but even if we had more than one, that was the last one that I thought about. And since it's called the thought calendar, it doesn't matter if it's the last one; it's just whatever comes to mind. So this teku is on Avodah Zarah, page 14, I think 14b. It's No, I'm sorry. It's 14b, but it's the 199th Teku in Bavli. What's interesting is that I have another set of things I'm doing, and when I got to the 14th Teku in Talmud Bavli, which is in Shabbat 77, that is the exact time that I got to the Teku in Avodah Zarah 14b. So those 14s matched up. I got to the 14th Teku, it's about 10 days ago. I'm sorry. 14th Teku was something like that. Whenever it was recent. It was a week and a half ago or something like that. So those two 14s matched up. Okay, the 14 of this 14th Teku in Shas, and the fact that Avodah Zarah, but I spoke with someone about this yesterday. That's what makes it pertinent to today. You see, on the 17th day of Tammuz, which is today, the box, as you can see, is number 14. So I remember two things that lined up that were 14. They happened today. But there is something else that's interesting, that the Julian calendar comes into play. 14, and you count the Julian calendar from the Hebrew is 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the Julian day is 24. The Julian day box is 24. That would be the fourth day of Tammuz, right? Because 17 minus 13 is 4. So what's special about 4/24 today? Because yesterday was Daf 24 of Avodah Zarah. So you see the Julian calendar, or 13 days behind, is very much connected to today in this respect. Especially that the two 14s matched up and the 24 matched up. Now as far as 30, I don't have anything for the Julian Gregorian date, but for the Julian Hebrew and for the Hebrew date 14 being 17, and the 20 being 13, that was one thing, and then the two 14s in the 17 is the connection for today.